Four guys rushing the pocket, and Sanders gets that right arm hit.
Shedeur Sanders to Harold Fadden, a gain of 25.
For Sanders, well protected, and there's Jerry Jeudy.
Now you see me, now you don't. Shedeur Sanders.
Front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows.
Don't stop. Don't look behind me. Don't pay attention to the multiple on-camera times of him being at the front row in the times they've released media.
Rex Ryan got on ESPN and told the world that Shedeur Sanders doesn't work hard enough. Said he needs to be in the front row. Said he needs to study. Called him out live on national television. Tony Grassi and Tony Rizzo jumped right on board to back him up. There's just one problem. The pictures already exist, multiple of them, on camera, showing Shedeur exactly where Rex Ryan says he isn't. So today, we're going through the tape, the timeline, and Rex Ryan's own history, because the lie doesn't survive 5 minutes of receipts. Let's start with what actually happened, because context matters here. Rex Ryan wasn't originally even talking about Shedeur. He was in the middle of a Cam Ward segment, and somehow the conversation drifted to the third-string quarterback of a 1-3 Cleveland team. Not the starter, not even the backup taking snaps, the emergency arm on the bench. And instead of talking about why the Browns have one of the worst offenses in football by EPA per play, instead of talking about the coaching staff that can't get anything working, Rex Ryan decided the real problem in Cleveland is a rookie who hasn't taken a regular season snap yet. He said Shedeur talks too much, said he runs his mouth like he could start in his league right now. Then he went further. Somebody told him Shedeur isn't in the front row, said he needs to get in there, study, put in the work like everybody else. And here's the part that should stop you cold. Rex Ryan framed that comment like he had a source, like somebody on the inside tipped him off. Tony Grassi practically lit up validating it, saying he doesn't think Rex would just pull that out of nowhere, that somebody in the building must have told him. Tony Rizzo backed it too, saying it's more damning than anything that had been said before because Rex apparently has inside knowledge. So think about the chain here. An anonymous tip filtered through a former head coach known for hot takes, repeated on air by two more media guys who never independently verified a single word of it. That's the entire foundation. No footage, no quote, no name attached to the original claim, just vibes and a grudge. And it went out to millions of people as if it were fact. The problem is, this business of judging effort from a distance without ever checking the film cuts both ways. Because while Rex Ryan was busy telling Shedeur to get his ass in the front row, there were cameras already rolling on Shedeur sitting exactly there, not once, multiple times, across separate media availability, weeks before Rex Ryan ever opened his mouth about it. So before we even get to whether Shedeur is playing well or not, we have to deal with the actual claim on the table. Is it possible he wasn't putting in work? Sure, anything's possible, but possible isn't the same as true, and what's about to come next makes this a lot harder for Rex Ryan to walk back.
Well, we'll figure it out. What do you got to say first, Rex?
Stefanski is one of an outstanding coach. All right? But why the hell isn't he putting Shedeur Sanders? We're all waiting to see the Shedeur Sanders be the guy or Gabriel, whatever. Something's missing. Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks. He runs his mouth like I could be a starting quarterback with his arms crossed like this. Get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way. You got the talent to be the quarterback. You should be. You should be embarrassed that you're not the quarterback now.
We'll see if they make a change there.
So if the tip was real and the story was true, where are the pictures backing it up? Because that's exactly where this falls apart. Here's what actually exists. 3 separate on-camera events, released media, official Browns footage, dated before Rex Ryan ever said a word about any of this. And in every single one, Shedeur Sanders is sitting in the front row. That's not a rumor. That's not a source who wants to stay anonymous. That's video. Time-stamped, published, verifiable video showing the exact thing Rex Ryan claimed wasn't happening. So now you have 2 competing stories. On one side, an unnamed tipster whispering something to a retired coach with a documented history of saying whatever gets him attention. On the other side, actual footage. Now, to be fair, and this matters, it is technically possible that after those 3 events, Shedeur went back to the building and just stopped putting in work entirely. Nobody's saying that's impossible in some abstract sense, but ask yourself how likely that actually is. Because here's the next problem for Rex Ryan's story. If Shedeur really had gone from front row to checked out, somebody covering that team every single day would have noticed, and nobody did. Not Mary Kay Cabot, who has been about as tough on Shedeur as anybody in that market, constantly pointing out where he's behind, where his pre-snap reads need work. She never once flagged a work ethic issue. Not Joe Thomas, not a single Browns beat reporter who sits in that building day after day, sees the practice reports, hears from the coaching staff directly. Out of every person with actual access to that locker room, Rex Ryan, a man who does not work for the team, does not cover the team, and does not have a beat reporter's access, is somehow the only one who caught this? That's not how real information works. When something is actually happening inside a building, multiple reporters with different sources tend to catch pieces of it independently. When only one guy with a history of hot takes has the story, and everybody with direct access has said nothing close to it, that tells you what you need to know about where the story actually came from. Think about how beat coverage actually works in the NFL. These reporters are in that facility constantly. They talk to assistant coaches, to trainers, to other players, to people in the equipment room. If a rookie quarterback had genuinely stopped putting in effort, that's not a secret that stays contained to one anonymous whisper reaching a guy who hasn't coached in years and doesn't live anywhere near Cleveland. That's the kind of thing that leaks in a dozen small ways before it ever becomes a talking point on national television. The silence from the people who are actually there every day is louder than anything Rex Ryan said. And this is where the Tony Grossi validation gets even worse in hindsight. He said it's more damning because Rex apparently has inside knowledge, but inside knowledge that no other insider can confirm and that direct video evidence contradicts isn't inside knowledge. It's a rumor dressed up to sound like reporting.
Is it possible that Shedeur isn't working hard? Is that a possibility? Yes, that's a possibility. And don't pay attention to these pictures that completely disprove everything that they just said. Don't stop. Don't look behind me. Don't pay attention to the multiple on-camera times of him being at the front row in the times they've released media. This is before this even came out. I want it to be known this was weeks ago. But before we even talk about that, it's the fact that Tony Grossi is so happy to validify.
Now, rewind further, because there's a second lie buried in all of this, and it's about something Shedeur actually said out loud. Rex Ryan didn't just invent the front row story. He also took something Shedeur genuinely said and cut it in half to make it sound arrogant. Here's what happened. A reporter asked Shedeur about his dad, Deion Sanders, saying a lot of things publicly, including that Shedeur was guaranteed to play. Shedeur's answer to that question was calm. He said that's not up to him. That's not his place. It's God's timing. That's the full answer to that specific question, not a hint of ego in it. Then a second question came, not about starting, not about guarantees, a different question entirely, asking whether he felt he could play better than the level of quarterback play the league had been seeing, backups included. And to that question, Shedeur said yes, he believes he's capable of playing better than what's currently out there. That's it. Somebody asks you directly if you think you're good, and you say yes. That's not arrogance. That's a competitor answering a direct question honestly. Rex Ryan grabbed only the second answer, stripped it of the question that came before it, stripped it of the first answer about God's timing, and repackaged it as some kid running his mouth about being a starter. That's not analysis. That's editing a quote down until it says something the person never actually said in that context. And this matters because it's the same pattern twice in one segment. First, an unverified claim about effort that direct footage disproves. Second, a quote taken out of its original context and repositioned to sound like something it wasn't. Two separate pieces of the same ESPN hit, and two separate times the actual evidence doesn't match the story being told on air. There's also a detail worth sitting with. Rex Ryan claimed a chunk of quarterbacks around the league are playing badly enough to justify a rookie third stringer feeling confident. And when you actually pull the numbers, that part checks out. There genuinely have been a lot of rough quarterback performances this season. So the one true thing Rex Ryan said in that entire segment was the part that actually supports Shedeur having some self-belief. Everything else, the front row claim, the out-of-context quote, doesn't hold up once you go back to the source. This is the part where you have to ask what the actual motivation was here. Not Cam Ward, not a genuine breakdown of Cleveland's quarterback room. A retired coach took a clip, stripped the context, added an unverified tip nobody else can confirm, and built a full narrative out of it in the middle of a segment that was supposed to be about somebody else entirely. And once you notice the pattern, you start seeing how these narratives get built in real time. Somebody floats a claim with no name attached. A second voice on the panel says it sounds credible. A third voice piles on to keep the segment moving. By the end of the hit, an unverified tip has been repeated so many times it starts to sound like consensus, even though nobody in that conversation actually confirmed a single detail of it themselves.
That's not nothing, in my place to answer. That's nothing I can't not answer, but I know for sure I'm not, I know if you see the quarterback play in the league right now, I know I'm capable of doing better than that.
So understand, because this is the land of out of context. I know Rex Ryan's a little older, so he's new to social media. He's only sees clips. He falls for AI clickbait. I get it. All right, Rex. So I'm going to try to hold your hand as I explain this, right? The question before that was, hey, Shedeur, your dad, Deion Sanders, said a lot of crazy stuff, said that you were guaranteed to play. And guess what? Because you're focused on the second answer. What about the first answer? What did he say at first?
If Rex Ryan wants to talk about credibility, let's actually go look at his. Rex Ryan built this entire moment around telling somebody else to be more professional. So let's hold him to his own standard. As a head coach, Rex Ryan finished with a losing overall record, 61-66. He was fired twice. 2 winning seasons out of 8 as a head coach, the rest either sitting at 8-8 or worse. His most memorable on-field moment as a head coach is a play that's been replayed as a punchline for over a decade, the butt fumble, with Mark Sanchez as his quarterback. His last starting quarterback before that stretch ended was the same Mark Sanchez, not exactly the gold standard for developing signal callers. Then there's the part of his history that Bleacher Report actually wrote up. Late in the 2010 season, while the Jets were fighting for a playoff spot, a series of videos surfaced online showing a woman who looked a lot like his wife, with a voice on the recording that sounded a lot like Rex Ryan himself. It became national news in the middle of a playoff push. He never confirmed or denied it, called it a personal matter, and moved on without ever really addressing it directly. So this is the same guy standing on ESPN using an unnamed tip nobody can verify to question whether a 22-year-old rookie takes his job seriously enough. And look at what's actually happening in Cleveland while all of this is going on. The Browns are 1-4. They lost a game they should have won. Kevin Stefanski's offense is near the bottom of the league in efficiency. The team traded away Kenny Pickett, started a 40-year-old quarterback, and told everybody Dylan Gabriel was the most advanced rookie passer they'd seen, then didn't play him either. None of that gets mentioned. Instead, the guy with zero access to the building, a losing coaching record, 2 firings, and his own well-documented off-field controversy decided the actual problem in Cleveland is the emergency third-string rookie who legally cannot enter a game unless 2 other quarterbacks go down first. That's the full picture. Not a work ethic story. Not really about Shedeur at all. It's a retired coach reaching for controversy, using a claim that photos disprove, and a quote that's missing half its own context, while the real issues on that roster go completely unmentioned. It's also worth noting what didn't happen after all this aired. No follow-up reporting confirmed the front row claim. No source came forward. No beat writer backed it up with their own reporting in the days after. The story just sat there, repeated once on a national platform, and then quietly never mentioned again by anyone with actual access to the building. That's usually a pretty good sign of how solid a claim really was to begin with.
That's what Bleacher Report says from an article from 2000. Well, I think this is 2013, late in 2010 season, as the New York Jets were trying to clinch a playoff berth. The team was stuck with a massive off-the-field distraction involving Rex Ryan. Oh, not the head coach. Not Mr. Let's focus on the football game. What was he doing? To summarize, a series of videos appeared on the web with a woman who looked a lot like Michelle Ryan, Rex's wife. In the videos, the woman is showing off her feet and having a conversation with the cameraman who sounded an awful lot like Rex Ryan. The videos went viral and the story became front page news. Ryan never confirmed or denied that he and his wife were in those videos. To be honest, I get it. I know you need to ask about all that stuff, Ryan told reporters, but it's a personal matter and I'm really not going to discuss it, okay?
So let's put all four pieces next to each other one more time before we wrap this up. An anonymous tip claims Shedeur isn't in the front row. Actual footage from 3 separate media days shows him sitting exactly there, weeks before Rex Ryan ever said a word. A quote about confidence gets pulled out of context, stripped of the first half where Shedeur talks about God's timing and staying humble about starting. And the man delivering all of it is a coach with a losing record, 2 firings, and a personal scandal that made national headlines during his own playoff run. Meanwhile, the actual problems in Cleveland don't get touched. A 1-4 record, an offense near the bottom of the league, a coaching staff that keeps making roster decisions nobody can explain. None of it fits the story Rex Ryan wanted to tell, so none of it made the segment. This is what happens when a narrative gets built before the facts get checked. Somebody says something dramatic, 2 more people validate it without doing their own digging, and it goes out to a national audience as if it's an established truth. Then the tape comes out, and the whole thing falls apart in real time. Shedeur didn't need to say a word to defend himself here. The footage did it for him. So here's the real question. Was this ever actually about Shedeur Sanders not working hard? Or was it about a coach with a losing record looking for a headline and finding one in a rookie who can't even talk back yet because he's 3rd on the depth chart? The pictures exist. The full quote exists. Rex Ryan's own record exists. Put all 3 next to what he said on air and the story doesn't hold up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Rex Ryan genuinely had a source, or do you think this was made up on the spot for attention? Smash like and subscribe.